Hey, I'm Kevin Scharfenberg with the TNRDhomes Real Estate Group, brokered by eXp Realty. And today we have on this call Jenna and Nash from Dominion Lending Center's Integra Mortgage. And what we want to do is we want to provide some insight on these rising interest rates. Hey, Jenna, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, thanks so much, Kevin. I appreciate it. I'm Jenna Nash McCabe. I'm a mortgage broker here in town in Kamloops at Dominion Lending Center's Integra Mortgage. So thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for that. So yeah, as you know, these rates are definitely causing some concern. And there's not a lot of information out there on what people should do. So we have some questions for you. Hopefully you can help answer them, and hopefully this will help some people that are out there looking in the market. So our first question is, what should sellers do who are looking to buy a home, but they need to sell their home first? Should they wait to watch to see if the interest rates keep going up, or if they should go down, or should they just find a place they like, jump on it, lock in, and then sell their home?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways we can do that. So what I always like to do is do a pre-approval with people and just get actual numbers. We take a look if they want to sell prior to buying, then we take a look at what that looks like for them. We can lock an interest rate in for 90 to 120 days, just depending on the lender. And then they can bank on that, knowing they can go shopping, and this is what that's going to look like. Obviously, the sale price of their current home is going to be, it's going to fluctuate a little bit, but we do our best to plan for that. Otherwise, if they are planning to maybe rent out their current home and buy a new place, we take a look at that as well, because we can use some rental income on their current home if they're going to buy a new owner-occupied home, which sometimes also helps them for qualifying as well. So there's a couple different ways we look at it, just depending on what works best for them and for their numbers. I always recommend we do a rate hold, especially in today's rate environment, for that 90 to 120 days, just so they can know that they can go shopping, and these are fairly accurate numbers for what they qualify for.
Great. Okay, so that leads into my second question. So that was 90 to 120 days they can lock in for that pre-approval for?
Yeah, 90 to 120 days, just depending on the lender that we're going to use or that we plan to use. So usually do a rate hold submission. They can then go shopping between that 90 and 120 days. And the house does have to close within that 90 to 120 days to make sure that they get that rate. But I'm always looking, if rates go down, then we're going to do a new rate hold and we're going to get that lower rate. So I'm always watching, but just making sure that we can guarantee that rate for that 90 to 120 days.
Okay, that's great info. Okay, so now somebody who's being pre-approved for that 90 to 120 days, what happens if they don't lock in and purchase something and have it closed before then? What happens to their buying power?
Well, we'll have to do another rate hold. If we're getting close to that 120 days, we might do it a little bit early if they don't have an accepted offer on a property. We're just always watching and trying to time it as best we can. But yeah, if their rate hold does expire, then what we're having to do is re-qualify them on today's rates. So in a rising rate environment, that can then qualify them for less, which we obviously don't want to do, but sometimes that is the reality. In a decreasing rate environment, though, then they would qualify for more. So sometimes it works to their benefit as well.
Okay, so now somebody who's going to purchase, would you recommend them locking them into a shorter term, or would you recommend them locking into a longer term, like a 3-year term or a 5-year term? What do you think is better with, where things are at right now?
Depending on their situation, but one of the strategies we've been using lately with clients is, doing a shorter term, not so much doing the 5-year fixed or the 5-year variables that we have seen over the last couple of years, maybe doing a shorter term, like a 2 or a 3-year term, in hopes that rates will come down in the next couple of years. And then we can relook at their mortgage and maybe get them into something that's a little bit lower.
Okay, so another one is, as you know, the news likes to put out negative stuff that's out there and, constantly cause panic. Some of the things that we've been seeing is that they're saying approximately 60% of homeowners are out there who are on a variable rate mortgage, that if it reaches a certain point, that they're not going to be able to afford their mortgage. Is this something that you're hearing or that you think is true?
You know what? I actually haven't seen anything in our market that suggests that people aren't going to start paying or are going to stop paying their mortgage payments. I think Canadians as a whole, we make sure we pay our mortgages and we adjust our spending elsewhere. I know variable rates, obviously, as everybody knows, have gone up over the past several months here, but I think that there's lots of options as well out there for clients as well. We can look at maybe doing re-amortizing their mortgage and taking it out a bit further and getting them into maybe a fixed or a variable rate for a couple years. There's that strategy. There's also, we can to convert their current mortgage, if they are in that variable rate, to a fixed rate to maybe stabilize their payments for a bit for them so that they can then budget accordingly. But I haven't seen any statistics or anything like that come out suggesting locally here that anybody is stopped paying their mortgage payments. I think as a whole, Canadians as a whole, typically they make sure that their mortgage payments are paid.
Okay, that's great. Okay, and the final question I had today was, do you have any examples of somebody who is pre-approved for a $500,000 mortgage before all these rate hikes, and then where they would be at right now? Like, what would that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I took a look, just kind of, these are rough numbers, just depending on the property, but somebody that was qualified before for a $500,000 mortgage using the qualifying rate of 5.25%, which we would have seen back early spring, they would have had to make an annual salary of approximately $102,000. And now with the interest rate increases, I just took a fixed 5-year fixed rate, for example, to qualify. They'd actually have to make $118,000 to qualify for that same $500,000 mortgage amount. So you can see it's quite a difference in salary and what they have to bring to qualify for that amount.
So I definitely think that if somebody's buying a family home and they're planning on living there for a while, that instead of worrying about the rates going up, the rates going down, they find something they like, just jump on it and buy it now, because if they're going to stay there for a while, the market's going to come up, the market's going to come down. We have a lot of clients saying, oh, we're going to wait for the market to crash and wait for the prices to go down. My concern is that the prices go down and that interest rate goes up, they're actually not going to be approved for as much as what they could have purchased before.
For sure. I'm sure you've seen this out there, but buy the house and rent the rate. There's always strategies to, in a couple of years when rates start to come down, and fingers crossed they do start to come down, that we can then relook at your mortgage and get you into a cheaper rate for sure. But buy the house, rent the rate.
Hey, Jenna, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to join me.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Hopefully this video will be some use for people that are out there in the marketplace. Guys, if you're looking for somebody to help you with your mortgage, please make sure you reach out to Jenna Nash from Dominion Lending Centers Integra Mortgage. I'll make sure that we put our information at the bottom of the screen. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, in the Kamloops and surrounding areas, please reach out to me or my team. We're always here to help.